You're listening to another great episode of We Speak Dispatch.
Welcome back to another great episode of We Speak Dispatch, meaning we're speaking it right to you if you're in a dispatch center or you're working for a dispatch company or you're in some sort of tech thing out there. We're involving dispatch. We're speaking to you. So we got great topics here today. We got a great guest that's going to tell us who she is in just a moment. But we have our normal list of suspects out there. We're missing a couple today, but we have John over there. John, how goes it in your part of the world?
It goes well, thank you.
There you go. And we got Leslie down there. Leslie, how goes it in the beautiful state of Florida?
It is lovely right now, but it's going to be getting cold pretty soon. So, cold is relative, I realize, but
Yes,
yeah,
please.
when you've got shorts and flip-flops and now you got to put a jacket on.
Well, and in Tennessee here, it is very cold. It was snowing this morning, and it's going to be 9 tonight. So that's
No,
gonna
thank
be
you.
great.
Nope.
And it's going to be 9 for the next 3 days, so it'll be wonderful. So it's nice. And we have our special guest here, Brandi. Why don't you tell us a little bit about you and what you do and that kind of thing, and then we'll ask you a bunch of questions.
Sure thing. So I'm Brandi Powell. I want to say career dispatcher, but I'm not in the center anymore. But I dispatched for 15 years, which once you make it past 4, you're a lifer. So I dispatched for 15 years, and then I started speaking at conferences, and I just started to combine my love and passion for dispatch for my ministry experience. So I've been in ministry for almost as long. And I kind of came up with the moniker, the 911 chaplain, the brand, if you will. And, when I go places, people are like, "You're the chaplain, come talk to me." And I'm like, "Sure, baby, you." So, like,
Yeah.
I'm a chaplain for the entire United States, like all the dispatchers, all of you. I'm your chaplain. So because of that, I started working for this amazing tech company, Prepared. And they're just deeply compassionate about dispatchers. And when people listen to dispatchers, we appreciate that. Like y'all care what we have to say. Okay.
Yeah.
They really they listen to all of the dispatchers on staff with like avid attention like this, right? And they're amazing. And I kind of continue my conference speaking because of this ambassador position with them. But the most amazing thing is this last year, I started a nonprofit called the 911 Chaplain Initiative. And we are going to create chaplain training specifically for 911 dispatchers. And hopefully, some kind of online portal of such so they can have 24/7 access to a chaplain if funding permits.
That's pretty
Awesome.
good. Wow, that's going to be a great thing to have out there, because sometimes we need that kind of, sometimes we need that stuff as all the difficult things we handle. So how many people do you have working for you, or working with you, I should say?
So I have people who I believe are standing with me in solidarity in their spirit. But me, as of now, I'm running this race with me and my board of directors. My board of directors, there's this she used to call herself the 911 virtual chaplain, Edie DeVilbiss, out of San Antonio, Texas.
Oh, I knew that is, yeah. Yeah.
She's amazing. She's like my spirit animal. I love her so much. She's the chair of my board. Yeah, and she's my chair. And then there's this amazing pastor out of Arkansas, and his name is Pastor Matt Smith. I've never met him, but
Wow.
But he's on the board.
He's on my board. Everybody's on my board. I think I've met one person, but I prayed about it. It was intense.
That's cool.
But yeah, he's the only person I know of that is literally serving as a 911 chaplain in the capacity where he doesn't talk to police, he doesn't talk to fire, he doesn't talk to EMS. He just serves the dispatchers.
Really? Wow.
Wow.
Yes, and
For one PSAP or the whole state of Arkansas?
the one person I know of in the world. I don't know anybody else who does it.
Wow.
Okay.
That's amazing.
I just don't like people say, so 911 chaplain is the thing. And I'm like, no, I'm going to make it one, but he does it. He does it. And so
Wow.
he sits on every shift at least 2 hours a month. He sits on the shift, doesn't sit along. His church has adopted the center, and they
Wow.
feed a different shift every month. And they also, if there's something in need, the center needs something like fundraising or floor repair, the church will come and do it. He sends daily devotional.
Wow.
He says daily devotionals to all of the dispatchers, and they all have his phone number, and he has theirs in case someone needs something. He serves these people, and what he
Wow.
does is the model that we want to use moving forward. Because to know that somebody cares about you like that,
Right.
like we just never had it. You know, a police chaplain would walk through once a month and kind of nod at you. That's what everybody else sees. They see
Yeah.
the sheriff chaplain might come in, hey, you all right? Here, and then walk out. And
Right.
that was it. And then they don't quite get what we do.
Right.
You know what I mean? There's this, and even with like EAP, like only 44% of like dispatchers, it's a real statistic, use the resources that are available at their centers. And nobody uses EAP because you got 3 sessions, and the first 2, they're like astounded or in awe of what you do. So you talk to people in emergency, really?
Yeah.
What's your worst call?
Yeah.
What's your what? That's not nerve-wracking for you. And I'm like, lady, I'm here for anxiety. Obviously, it's
Yeah, no
Right,
kidding.
right. You eating
So-
up my time. Come on.
Yeah.
yeah. Like I don't have 3 sessions with you. Like be starstruck about 911 later. Like help me.
So-
I'm
Yeah, I'm curious because you bring up, right now the hot topic in a lot of ECCs, PSAPs across the country, and with NINA and APCO and all the big organizations is, resilience, mental health, wellness, and all of those things. And I'm curious, where do you see this chaplain program in the hierarchy or the support system of those other programs?
I wanted to say that it falls just dead in line with all of the rest of them, okay? Because when I think of wellness, I think of holistic wellness, right?
Okay.
Mind, body, and soul. You can't be wealthy, you can be well in one place and then like really be sick in another, right? You
Mhm.
mentally be messed up and be in the perfect physical shape of your life, but your
Very
mind is
true.
messed up. So holistic wellness is mind, body, and soul. So I believe that spiritual wellness is emotional wellness. I think spiritual wellness can be mental wellness. It just, and it's not. And I wrote an article for the 911 Training Institute. It's not about salvation. It's about hope. It's about, hey, there's somebody here for you. You're not alone. So it does line up with peer support because everybody we train is going to have had experience in the center. So it's going to be like peer support. It's going to be like mental health, like counseling. So we're going to have a cohort. They're going to really be trained, not like the 3 meeting, like really be trained.
Right.
And you just make sure that they have what they need and to always know like someone's thinking about you.
Right.
Have you met any resistance
they know
from
that now.
anybody? Has anybody been like, nah, we're not gonna do that? Have you had
You know
any of that?
what? I'm in the Bible Belt, so I haven't had that response yet. The Bible, I'm in Georgia, guys.
Okay.
All right.
I haven't had that response yet. Like weirdly enough, the response usually is very, very like almost desperate. Like, yes, we need this. Obviously, we need this. Like we should have had this a long time ago. And
Right.
it's really weird because police have chaplains, and that's routine. Firefighters have chaplains. That's pretty standard. EMTs sometimes have chaplains, and it's not a surprise. But I think it's a lot to do with us not being overall considered first responders. And I think that's resources have not yet been made available. Also, they just don't think we need them. Meanwhile, we know we're in there bouncing off the walls, and we know how we know what happens. Losing my hair and losing marriages, and I had a conversation with 2 of my coworkers. We shot a podcast down in Florida, and we were talking, and I was telling them I have this joke. I was like, I call your first marriage that first pancake. Because that first pancake in the pan ain't never right. Y'all ever notice that first pancake? The temperature ain't right. That pancake falls apart. So I call your first marriage that first pancake. And I said, y'all, how long before y'all first pancake got out the pan? They were like 3 years, 2 years, 4 years. I'm like, see, got darn dispatch.
Yeah, it's true. It's very true. So, and I think, and I won't speak for anybody else, but because my agency in Southern California, we had a chaplain program, and the pastor at our church was actually a part of our chaplain program. So we had a personal relationship with him, and that was really helpful. But I'm curious because sometimes a chaplain program is automatically attached to, you talk about it being spiritual or holistic or, emotional, that sometimes chaplain programs get attached to religion. And then there's so many different, there's Christianity and there's Catholicism and there's Judaism and there's all of these different things. How do you encompass all of that into your chaplain program?
So, our chair, Edie, Reverend Edie, she is amazing because she just has this knowledge. She serves as a chaplain for many, many years at a youth home. And to be a good chaplain, you really have to be an interfaith chaplain. You have to
Mm-hmm.
serve everybody. And one, like, again, you're not really teaching, I'm not teaching salvation in Christ. That's never my message. My
Right.
message is always, you can be, it's okay. That people say it's okay not to be okay. My message is I want you to be okay. Like
Yeah.
I want you to be okay. Like I want you to be okay enough to stay in the seat. So what do you need? We need to deal with the trauma and the triggers. We need to actually not just stir up your drama and your trauma and make you feel crazy, but stir it up and then give you resources. So
Yeah.
it's very like the dispatchers are solutionists anyway. But a lot of times it's hard for us to seek help because you feel crazy seeking therapy for your day job. Like I got to do
Mm-hmm.
my job. Right? There's so much stigma still associated with getting help. And I think that having a chaplain, it could be, a little less stigmatized because it's like, hey, this is
Mm.
somebody to talk to me. It's like peer support, but it ain't your coworker, which I think peer support is amazing. But I know I wouldn't want to talk to none of them chicks I was working with.
Hello.
I know. Yeah,
Hello.
I'm probably talking about you.
Especially when they're like voted in and there's like, or just, oh, let's see who would be good kind of thing.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like,
Yeah.
I swear. I mean,
I got peer support problems because of you.
yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. How you gonna support your peers when you can't support me when we're
I need
working on
peer
the board
support
together?
for the peer support. It's like,
Right.
I
Yes.
mean,
Come
and
like,
that's the thing. I mean, my agency got rid of the chaplain program years ago,
yeah.
which I thought was kind of weird, very because it's a very political organization. I work for the California Highway Patrol, so very political.
Mm.
And I thought that's just kind of odd, especially when I knew some of them and they didn't mix like Leslie's saying. It wasn't like a specific religion. It was just a faith kind of thing. And if you're a believer in fate and all that kind of stuff, it's like I thought it was a really great program because it was so over connected to everybody out there. So do you work or is your plan to actually work with like peer support people and kind of get them on sort of the same track you're on or
I
what?
think so. Ultimately, our vision is we want to have an academy to train chaplains to give them the skills. We
Mhm.
want to have a technology or some kind of technological engagement method for them to communicate with those that we train, and then those that we train can go out to their own. Partnering with like peer support or partnering with someone who does mental health. I'm sure that's in the future. I want it to be in alignment with everything because I don't think it's a one size fits all. I think it may be I need this sometimes I may need this, and again, like you were saying about um the program, like the chaplain program, maybe even being offensive to somebody. Like some people are offended by religion, and I'm offended by religion. I'm gonna be honest. I'm because I know religion is this little box of things that tradition, and if you don't
Mm-hmm.
fit in this box. No, I mean I love God, but I love people. Right. And my heart's desire is for people to be proud of what they do, to feel good in that seat, to know that they're doing something noble, to know that there's someone who cares about them. And I make sure, like in all my videos, people think I'm obsessed with dispatch because I am. I want
Mm. I
to
love
be
it.
okay. I just want us to be okay. And if it's not for you, then find a way to leave without like, you know, bleeding on everybody else on your way out. But if it is for you,
Right.
I want us to help you be sustained in it, right?
Mm.
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
not a religious thing. I'm not coming in praying for people, but I've done sessions. So I speak at conferences constantly, right? I'm doing Texas selected me for 6. So if anybody's going to Texas,
Wow.
Which one is
6
that? Which one are
sessions.
you going to? The McClellan?
Yes.
Yeah, I'll be there too. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm speaking 6 times in Texas, right?
I'm doing 3. So it's
Yeah. They were just there. They were checking
So
out
you're
boxes.
doing
So yeah.
yeah.
the same type of session
Yeah,
though
so
for
I
to
do
to share this?
yeah, I kind of do a mix of things. Most of the things I do are wellness oriented or interpersonal communication. Like how do we get
Mm-hmm.
because I get along with everybody. Like I have a class about getting along with Generation Z. Like how do you manage and engage Generation Z? Because they're an interesting group of babies. They're an
Mm-hmm.
interesting group, right? And so I think the class is called Very Demure, Very Mindful, which is like their thing from last year.
Oh God.
And then I have lights, camera, conflict resolution. So like,
Mm.
little things. And my class I did a keynote last year in Missouri called Grace Under Fire, and it's about being kind in an unkind environment. So I talk
Mm.
a lot about how we interact and deal with each other, because culture a lot of times creates that toxicity that makes people leave dispatch. Not the cause, the culture. So
Absolutely.
so we can't treat each other with grace and kindness and respect and patience like we're supposed to treat these callers. If we can't give that to
Agreed.
each other in the room, then we won't be able to work together. In dispatch, historically, we eat our young, we
Hmm.
sink or swim. I know
Yeah.
I've been in almost every state, and every state, when I talk to dispatchers, they always agree with me. I say, do y'all have veteran dispatchers who tell the baby dispatchers, I'm not even going to learn your name until you're here
Yeah.
2 years? Of course we do. Y'all, why? Why are we doing this to people? And we want them to stay, and we wonder why
It
we
makes
have
no
retention.
sense. It makes no
Yeah,
sense.
it
It's
is
crazy.
ridiculous. But
Yeah.
I love though to hear that, you've been in every state, you're doing these 6 sessions at a conference, you've been keynoting, that it means that people are paying attention to this topic. And and as you're talking, I'm thinking about when we have somebody that does We Speak Dispatch with us. Her name is Glenna, and she's big into peer support, and she has a wellness project that she works on in California. But thinking about 10 years ago, maybe even 15 years ago, these kind of things weren't even a thought. And now you've got emotional support dogs, and you've got chaplain programs, and you've got peer support, and you've got I've heard of an agency, they call it their war room, WAR, and it stands for wellness and resiliency. And so it's just, it's the more we talk about it, the more it removes that stigma that you were talking about. And I think it's so vitally important, because we've all talked about on We Speak Dispatch, and even, when we're not recording and we're just sitting around and, just talking about whatever, we always end up talking about work. But, why is it that this profession as a whole, we've all seen it in our classes and in our conversations. You're right. Everybody has the person who sucks the life out of the room, and they're allowed to conduct themselves in that way. And I don't know if it's because everybody realizes this job is really hard, and we'd rather have a cancer than be short-staffed. But it's really frustrating, and it's wonderful that people from the organization and from the profession are now kind of saying, okay, enough's enough, and we got to make some changes. That's
think
awesome.
You see, Brandi, how this really sparked the whole thing.
It did.
That 15 minutes went so fast. I'm like, it's just such an easy topic to talk about, because it affects so many people, including all of us that have been in that seat for many, many years. And it's like, I mean, I remember thinking, man, there should be something for dispatch. I mean, we didn't have anything when I was dispatching. And it's like, the stuff they did have, like you said, was ridiculous. So it was
they threw a treadmill in your break room and call it wellness.
Like,
when I
please.
first started, that was wellness for us, and nobody used it, or they gave us little foot bikes that you take at the chair and you just move your feet.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. I mean, I think they kind of throw things at the problem to see, will this work? Will that work? Instead of developing what is the problem? What is the issue that we got to work with? That
Definitely.
underlying thing that we need to kind of figure out what it is. So
Definitely.
I'm glad you're out doing what you're doing out there. I'm glad I contacted you and saw what you were doing and thought, man, we need to talk to her and get her onto our program out here to talk about this thing. So thank you for coming by and letting us ask a lot of questions of you. And if you want to give us your contact information, I'll go ahead and put it on the website for it, so you can actually people can see it and say, oh, I can contact her like this. That's good. So say, there you go. So, all right. So anyway, so it looks like our stats that we've been getting here for our social media has been really great, because we're on every podcast platform you could think of. And we're on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn. We're on LinkedIn too. And TikTok, if it's in business again. Which of Pinterest? No, we're not on Pinterest. Definitely not.
How to decorate your comm center.
Yes.
Doing that. But we're up to about 40, almost 45,000 podcast plays in over 50 countries. So we're getting the message out there. If you want to be a guest like Brandi down here, then just let us know. We'll jump you on here and have you talk about your topic, or whatever your topic might be. Other than that, I thank everybody for coming today, and thank you very much, Brandi, for sharing your story with us. And we'll be back in touch with you. All right, thanks a lot, everybody. Good night. Go make it a great
Have a good shift.